Have you had your hot cup of tea? Gashai? Eden Tea, finest garden tea, available at the supermarkets, comes to you in various flavors. Eden Green Tea, Eden Purple Tea, Eden Lemon Tea, Eden Ginger Tea, and Eden Premium Tea. It is packed right at the source. Karirana Tea Estates, ikiwa pande za Limuru, my friend, and that ensures the quality is maintained. Richness in aroma, richness in taste, richness in color. My friend, kama haujawahi kunywa Eden Tea, you have no idea what you're missing. Check it out at the supermarkets. Eden Tea is reminding you and I to be vigilant. COVID-19 is still here with us, and so put on your face mask, wash your hands, maintain interpersonal distance. It is these little things that make a huge difference. Let's continue to work together. Let's be our brother's keeper. Thursday imefika. Clinic imefunguliwa, my friend. The doctors are already in the house. Bench nimeweka nje kama kawaida. Nimeipanguza, nimeisanitize. We are good to go. Beginning a brand new series this month, we are looking at unorthodox relationships. And today we focus on marriage across tribes. Are you married to someone who doesn't come from your tribe? We would love to hear your story and maybe your challenges. 20316 SMS line, WhatsApp number 0786 316 316. Joining me today in studio, I have got Douglas Angogo, life coach, relationship coach. Sijui nikuongezee soccer coach, Olympic coach. Douglas, how are you doing?
Doctor.
Nikuongezee doctor. Haya, nimekupatia
Doctor of philosophy.
Doctor of philosophy. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, James Okumu. How are you?
I'm very fine. Karibu sana.
It's been long.
It's been long. We are good. We are grateful to have you on the show today.
We thank God.
Awesome. I also have a wonderful couple, David and Irene Chola. How are you guys doing?
Hey, we're good.
Hey, we are tuko salama.
Karibuni sana. Karibuni sana.
Asante.
You guys didn't, David and Douglas, you didn't tell me I'm supposed to put on a blue thing. Looking out of...
Okay,
the 1316 looks blue. The 1316 looks blue.
So David and Irene, let's begin with you, David and Irene, because we are talking about marriage across tribes. So tell us, where did you cross to? Where did you come from, and where did you cross to capture Irene's heart?
Should we say the local one, where we came from, this estate in Nairobi?
Pana, not that one.
Well, I come from the coast, a place up the hills in Taita Hills, past Bundanyi.
Okay.
Up the hills completely.
Okay.
And I decided to come down, follow Mombasa Road all the way up to Central. And cross all the way.
All those tribes along the way.
Many counties.
Yes.
And with Irene. Irene is from Nanyuki side. Yes.
Great. I'm just wondering, when you guys were beginning your relationship, was this tribe thing ever an issue?
No, not really. I wouldn't say it was an issue between us, of course.
Yeah.
But I would say in my family, it was silently, quietly at the background of, I think our Kikuyu parents are very conscious of who you're dating and where they come from, yes.
So did they ever raise up the issue, or it was just signs and gestures and comments?
I wonder.
they did, but in a different way.
Okay.
I think for us, from the Kikuyu side, it totally depends on which tribe you're talking about. For my parents were very shocked with the cost factor. They actually got scared. They were very intimidated. Because this is not the usual. They were like, now how are we going to get this Kiswahili thing going? And this was Swahili, what do we cook for them? I mean, it was an interesting reaction, not the usual.
Okay.
If, for example, it was another tribe.
What about for you, David? Was it ever an issue with your side of the family?
Now, for being the last born in my family, I had the advantage of several of my siblings had crossed the borders. And so that kind of mellowed the way for me, but it still did raise a bit of concerns in terms of where you're going. Are we going to have unrealistic expectations with regards to us coming together?
Yes.
So that was a bit of a concern. it helped on my part that I had actually had relationships with people from my own tribe, and that didn't work out. So that totally changed my perspective with regards to tribe matters in relationship.
Okay, nimeona umesema hiyo, those relationships didn't work out. Irene akasema thank God.
But I'm just confirmation.
Yes, a confirmation. I'm wondering, Douglas, you would think that in this day and age, that the whole tribe thing would not be an issue because men, tumetoka far, tumetoka mbali. I remember Mr. Okumu. Mr. Okumu, my dad, and I know he's watching.
Right.
I remember he sat us down one time and he told us, unaweza ukaniletea msichana kutoka kwa tribe ingine yoyote, lakini hii usijaribu. My elder brother, who is he, alienda tu kwa hiyo tribe. So I'm just wondering, why is it still some concern with some parents when you marry outside of your tribe, Douglas?
I think what happens, James Okumu, is because of the perception. There's a lot of negative perception about given tribes.
Okay.
And the problem is most of us focus, and the parents that is, and they really focus on the negative portrait of that tribe, and they look at what has never been working in marriages that have been from those tribes. The one thing that they need to understand is the marriages that have really successfully worked, that have been of inter-tribe, that is cross-tribal, cross-cultural. So the problem is our parents are still really thinking that this one has never been working, and they forget that out of 5 that have not been working, 95 have been working. I'm a product of a cross-cultural marriage, and I want to say that it's been really, really working well.
Okay.
So the only thing is the perception, the way the world, the way the society, and the way, even right now, the way the social media portrays intertribal marriages.
Yes.
What we forget is that we are not marrying the tribe, we are marrying the person. And now we focus more on the tribe and forget about the character, because you see, I think David said that he dated from the same tribe, but it never worked. Why? Because probably he thought the tribal factor would be the determinant of a working marriage. But what our parents need to understand is the tribal thing is not a determinant. The character thing is a determinant. When you marry this person, yes, you have the opposite tribes in the house, but the character is what makes that marriage work. The tribe can just be like cross-cultural, because you see, you love the person and you love the tribe.
Okay. Yes. Somebody's asking me, ati pasi pia we tuambie vile iko because they know I'm married to Wajiko, my Wajiko. For me, it was not really an issue because my wife's dad had actually remarried. My wife's mom had passed away, and so my father-in-law remarried, and being a Kikuyu, he remarried and he married a Luya. So just like daddy, Maureen followed suit and looked for a nice-looking Luya guy, and the rest is history. Back to you, David and Irene. There's something that Douglas mentioned. There are certain stereotypes that sometimes we associate with certain tribes. You know, sometimes you hear stories about don't marry a Kikuyu lady, especially from certain areas. Huyo atakupeleka bafu, atakunyorosha. Did you have to? Did you ever hear those conversations when you guys were dating and preparing for marriage? Did any of your friends ever ask you, "Ati who again? Irene is from where?" Hey, my friend, Ka Chonjo. Did you ever have those conversations with anybody?
I think I can say in our family there, the conversations were there, definitely. I think Kikuyu have perpetual fears for certain tribes that I will not mention.
Yes,
so I had those conversations in my own family. I think also how myself and not even myself, my sisters who they were dating. So our parents were already, raising eyebrows. Where is that guy from? And all that. But the thing is, they had never thought of Taita. Taita had never crossed their mind. So while I had all these stories growing up, when it finally now happened, they were like, I think that just caught them off guard. They were just like, we have never thought about Coast. We have thought of other tribes, but
Yeah.
not this one. But yes, those are things we had growing up.
When the relationship started getting serious, did they have to do some research about these guys from the coast so that they know what to expect?
I think they had to, even if probably in their minds, they really had to, because they didn't know what to expect.
Okay.
From that, they just didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
Wow. Listen to this comment. This one is coming in from a lady. She says, "Gee, I dated a Nigerian in campus, but when I brought him home, hakufunguliwa gate." I am Washuka, Kikuyu by tribe, and my parents told me they would not take dowry from a non-Kikuyu man. My current guy is called Moriah from Moranga, and our wedding is on the 4th of December. Washuka, congratulations to you. But I'm just wondering, Douglas, you know, when your parents give you an ultimatum like this, what if you don't get a guy from your tribe? What if you don't fall in love with somebody who comes from where you come from? Yeah? What if damu yako inataka tu ogau, you just want a Nigerian, and your parents are telling you something like this? Where does that leave you? And then by the time you're hitting your mid-30s into 40s, and yao wanakuuliza, na wewe haujapata mtu, na si nilipata mtu mkakataa kumfungulia gate.
I believe it's a very a bad state to be in as a person, and even for the families or the parents, that's a very, very a hard corner to put your son or your daughter, because I believe what you need to understand is yes, this person is bringing someone from a different probably tribe or even from a different country, our country. What you need to do is, yes, it's good to obey our parents. Yes, some parents have the sixth sense, because probably they've gone through this, they understand how marriages work, or they're able to really have a feeling of what is not working out. But I think it's time that you need to sit down with them. Yes, they will chase them away, or sit down with them, have a discussion with them. Try to give, maybe understand what they're trying to say, and give your own views. It's not good to defy, but it's also good to have a discussion and try to really give out why you feel you're marrying this person, and not what the people say, and try to really discuss what they think is wrong with this tribe, and bring it out in a different way, and try to use, like David said, examples of successful marriages that have come from such a tribe that are maybe intermarrying. Like David said, like for me, yes, there was a bit of resistance in terms of, and it was not really a one-on-one resistance. It was not open. It was ile chini ya maji, whereby you hear discussions that, hey, why are you going from Migori? How are you able to go to Muranga? That's a bit, or you couldn't find someone on the road on the way, and are you sure? And what really made us really go through is because we had examples of marriages within our family that were intermarrying and they were working. So if you're a young person who is going through a resistance or some family bashing out of the spouse, just try to explain to them, give them examples, and try to give them time. Sometimes you don't give them time, so give them time, explain to them, give them examples. If it is possible to someone that you're working with, especially if it is a man of God or someone who is working within that relationship, let them maybe approach your parents and explain. So have someone who can speak on your behalf if you can't really convince your parents. And that's why now the mentorship part of it comes in. So if you're relating, it's also good to have someone that you're looking onto that will be also like a spokesperson to you when that comes up here.
Okay, so Douglas, your wife is also from Central?
Jambi kabisa.
I can see the three of us, we wanted to centralize our lives. My friend, we wanted to ensure center bolt imefungwa kabisa. Iko sawa sawa. If you have any questions for us today, 20316 is the SMS line. WhatsApp number 0786316316. Marriage across tribes. Are you married out of your tribe? Did you marry out of your tribe? What was the experience? What are some of the things you had to contend with? Share those with us. It is the Jam 316 Relationship Clinic. Today we are looking at marriage across tribes. We are hanging out with life coach and relationship coach Douglas Sangogo and David Chola and Irene Chola. Lots of comments coming in. A lot of people telling me I should be the one on that other side today answering the questions I am asking. My aunt got married to a Giriama and she is Luo. My cousins speak both. Ajabuni, they grew up in town. Giriama dad spoke his language whenever he talked with his children. Same to mom who talked Luo. to his children. My cousins interact well with relatives, both sides, and people wonder how they communicate freely in Luo and in Giriama. I'm just wondering, David and Irene, can your children speak Taita and Kikuyu?
They're totally cosmopolitan. Totally.
They can speak neither.
Neither.
They speak English.
My children,
I dare say,
yeah.
I dare say, the success of this is the willingness to come to the middle. If one party pulls the other to their side in terms of language and customs and so on, then you create a lot of tension in your unity. But then, by virtue of being able to come to the middle, hey, let's look for our common mode of communication, and that's what we use with the children. Hapa na pale watapata maneno hapa na pale, but at the end of it, they have become a hybrid of both of us.
Okay. So, when my kids were younger, if you would ask them what tribe they are, they would tell you our tribe is Hallelujah. Ni Waluya, lakini si Hallelujah kawaida, ni Hallelujah. When you guys travel home, David and Irene, do you ever get this pressure when you go to Taita, when you go to Irene's place? Do you ever get this pressure where the people back at home, your relatives, want to speak to you and your children in your mother tongue, and they give you pressure? Why aren't your children speaking this language? You know, they will lose the culture and our way of life. Do you ever get such kind of pressure? Irene? And see you nodding.
I think so. I think there is a bit of it for sure. But it's not really from our parents. It's usually, as you say, it comes from aunties and uncles. They come and they start speaking to you in that language, expecting that you know it, or even wanting to know what are the tribal names of the children, what have they been called, why have they not been, they'll always throw in those questions and all that. Expectations, I mean, why aren't you serving the man? Just things that we do in our culture that will be thrown, but that comes especially from relatives, not necessarily from your parents. So yeah, we do face a bit of that. In my side of the family, we speak Kikuyu 24/7. So when David is there, he is either floating or trying to
looking for a translator,
to understand whether it's a wedding.
Download the app, my friend.
The thing with Kikuyus is we speak Kikuyu all the time, and if you're not one of us, itabidi tu survive.
I've learned to have the look.
The Kikuyu
look.
I understand what's happening, but
no idea.
You just need to know how to say you will be able to survive. What about from your side, David? Do you get that kind of pressure when you go to your side of the family?
I think my family has honestly been a lot more understanding. A lot more understanding. They're not as should I say? They do talk a lot of Taita when they're together.
Yeah.
My immediate nuclear family, I must say we're very, very cosmopolitan, Nairobi-ish, so.
Yeah.
And I've got several of my siblings, as I mentioned, who have already married into different tribes. So when we have family meetings, often we'll do it in English or Swahili, so that people are all included. But when we are just family, then those moments of language do come up.
Okay.
My mom can say something to me in Taita, and then if it's something that I'll quietly have to explain to Irene or the children, that I don't understand.
Okay.
Yes. So it does come up.
Wow.
Yes.
I've been trying to teach my family a bit of Luya here and there. I speak quite a bit of Luya when I'm at home, and it's like very comical to them. I mean, it's very comical. My wife has been able to pick up quite a number of Luya words. She knows the basics. For me, on my side, growing up, most of my friends were Kikuyu. Most of my close friends were Kikuyu. And so I know quite a bit of Kikuyu. I may not be able to speak as fluently, but huwezi nisengenya Irene. Huwezi. I will understand what you're talking about. And by the fact that Kikuyu and Luya both are Bantus, some words are very similar. Now, Douglas, this one goes out to you. Somebody's asking, how do you deal, Irene talked about sometimes the pressure is not really from the family, it's from the extended family, the aunties, the uncles, and somebody's asking, how do you deal with in-laws who insist on never speaking to you? Like ever, they only address the person from their side of the family. They have even turned nephews and nieces against you. It's like they have never really embraced you. How do you manage and how do you deal with that?
This uncle should never talk to me again. I don't care. That's one thing.
What do you mean you don't care?
As long as I speak to my wife and my wife speaks to me,
Yeah.
I think that is what matters most. And if my parents are in agreement, any other person is an outsider. You see, this comes even to the, like you see, when weddings are being pronounced in churches, they say that if there's anyone who has anything to say it now, or funga mdomo kabisa. So if this guy if this guy should be in among those who from, if you're not, you have to say something against this marriage before you say I do, and you didn't speak, then it should stop forever. Okay, one thing you need to do is this, like my wife did, is he used to talk to the dad more. So when the uncles are speaking that, nini, for her, she was like, it's my dad who raised me up. It's my dad who has the last say. So whatever my dad says, if you're in agreement with my dad, then any other person becomes an external voice.
Okay.
Yeah, so this person who probably feel like every other person has turned against them, then he should be able to understand, if my parents are for me, then who can be against me, in quotes. So I'll say this, don't really feel like your marriage is under threat because your uncles are not speaking or they're turned against you. What you need to do is just try to be, make sure that your relationship with your parents are okay, and try to make sure that your parents can be now advocates for you. Let them speak about you, about your marriage and about you to the uncles, but never push to really have that feeling with them. If it was your parents, probably it's a different thing. But if it's an external voice, I think it's time for you to shut it down and concentrate on making your marriage work. That's what I'll say.
And I think sometimes in a situation like this, because this is the wife who's sharing this, I think also the honors are on the husband, because this is coming from your side of the family. I think the honors is also on the husband to stand and protect your wife, man. Yeah, I remember there's a time there was this clip flying around of a certain pastor in the city. Alikuwa anasomea wachungaji na washirika wa kanisa, you will respect my wife.
Yes,
so I think, the husband needs to step up as well and be able to do that. I've got a comment here from Evelyn. Evelyn saying, good morning. We are living in the 21st century and metropolitan world. I myself don't love Kenyan guys, so I can't be forced to date or settle with one. I am dating a Frenchman. Hey, mademoiselle, bonjour. Wow. Congratulations to you. I love that comment. Thank you for sharing that. I'm wondering, David and Irene, because, okay, now you have got the Kikuyu background and culture, you've got the Taita background and culture, and both of you are believers. So there's the Christian way of life and culture. Do you ever get into a space where these three cultures are conflicting? Like Irene, you said earlier, there are certain things they expect you to do because this is how wives are supposed to behave with the husbands. For us, when we go to shags, I tell my wife, when they serve the chicken, don't touch this part. Do not touch it. When we're in shags, wachana nayo. Just be comfortable with this. When we're in our house, eat the whole thing, I don't care. But when we are there, within the confines of, it can bring issues. So I don't know if you guys ever experienced that, and how do you handle that?
I'll mention one particular incident where we had that kind of conflict, and this was during our dowry negotiations. When our family first went to Irene's family's place, it was a very difficult meeting in that there were several uncles who had come who were very steeped in I would say in the Kikuyu tradition of that particular side. It didn't seem to be standard across the board. In fact, they came with particular demands, which were strongly steeped in cultural rights. And together with that, there was a huge financial demand that came out of that accompanied that meeting. So we came out of that a bit. My family was a bit shell shocked, a bit like,
yes,
umetupeleka wapi? You know what is all this?
Yes,
and we actually it actually had to come back to us to quietly go to. Irene had a chat with her family, and it was real. It was actually the people who were causing this issue were confronted, and would you believe it? They were removed from that position.
Wow.
They were removed from the negotiations, and one of Irene's uncles took over, who's a very staunch, devout man, Christian, and he came and took over the negotiations. And we had, the next time we went there, okay, we worked hard to meet the demands,
Yeah.
but it was a totally different time when we went for the second meeting. So that was a clear when you have Christians coming together and meeting previous cultural differences, and when the Christian culture was allowed to guide the matter, it was so smooth thereafter, and we concluded the negotiations, and the wedding went very well after that.
Okay.
So that's one incidence where we can say having a lot of godly people in your family makes your unity. It makes your union much smoother. Certainly,
Okay.
I would say that.
I'm just wondering,
yes.
Irene, in your marriage journey. By the way, how many years have you guys been married?
17.
17. Wow, that's amazing. Congratulations, my friends. Nowadays mtu akipita 5, hey, nasema kudos. We're such a marriage expert. Now, in your 17 years of marriage, Irene, within the marriage, have some of these cultural expectations ever come in such that you had to sit down and discuss? Because there's the way we name people based on different cultures. Anytime we have highs and lows, we often revert back to kwetu tunafanyaga hivi. When we have a celebration, when a baby is born, or when we are sad, somebody has died, the tendency is always to watu wa kwetu, this is how we do. This is how we name, this is how when a baby is born we have to do, this is how we bury our dead. Have those things ever come to a place where the both of you had to sit down and now agree, okay, what are we going to do?
Well, yeah, of course they have. One of the things that I'm readily thinking about is, what if we had a son? How would we have dealt with the rites of passage?
You guys have got only girls.
We only have girls,
Okay.
yeah. But the biggest one I think that we had to sit down and agree was on naming, how we name our children. And both our cultures, the naming procedure is very similar. But then again, one thing I was thinking about when I was thinking about this is the fact that both of us are last born, yeah? So when we were named after people we don't know. Many people are named after grandmother, grandfather. When our siblings are nyuma, you are named after people you will never
farther away
from the family. You will never meet. I have never known who I was named after. Never met them. Same to my husband.
Yeah.
So we really didn't want to name culturally. We really wanted to give our children neutral names, and that is something we had to sit down and agree between ourselves, and also quietly go to our families and sort of explain that this is what we plan to do, and calm nerves there. That one was a hard one.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if we'll ever overcome it, because the undertones are still always there.
Yes.
Yeah, but it was quite tough naming our 3 daughters neutral names, not named after anybody. So that one was tough.
Culture.
Yeah, that one is an issue, especially in this generation where we want to name our children the Shaquilas and the Sijui what, because we also had to go through that. Because as much as the Luyas and the Kikuyus have got a similar naming thing, but we also prefer to give our kids their own identity. As much as I've named my son my dad, I've not given him all the names of my dad. He has another name, the one we refer to as Daryl. My dad is not called Daryl. My dad is called William. But now the second name is my dad's name. And we had to have those conversations, you know, and I thank God. I'm just wondering, Douglas, sometimes there's the thinking that the children may lose identity in that, so what tribe are you? Are you Taita or Kikuyu? You know, you can't speak either. Kwani wewe ni mzungu? So how do you handle those kinds of fears where people tell you, your children will not have a culture because first of all, hata lugha ya mama hauongei. Now you've gone outside the tribe to marry somebody from another tribe. Now you have children. The children are confused. How do you handle somebody with that kind of thinking?
I'll say Irene and David have done. For us, our children are named not from any of our parents' name or cultural names. And like you say, that's one of maybe people seeing that probably you guys are losing it out, and how will these people really come to be identified? And you see, like with the current generation, everything has really changed, and in most cases, there's a lot of people asking about the second name. If you go somewhere, somebody else go, you're called Irene. Irene who? Why do they want the second name?
Yes.
Yeah? You're called James. So they're really like, James is a name. So it's like James is not a name. They want Okumu so that they can be able to know you're James Okumu.
Yes.
So what they're trying to do is they're trying to associate you with a given tribe. And in most cases, with like Kenya is so much unique in terms of using your name either to blackmail you or to favor you. Yeah. So when we use unique names, like for us, use very different names from, there were who's like, you didn't name me, you have to name this lady my name. And we told our parents, you know what, we are still, we're still giving back. So,
order.
So that by the time they're expecting us to have probably that third board or fourth board in their name, we really stopped, yeah? So for you to be able to overcome that pressure why you guys are losing identity is try to make sure that your sons or your children understand that you people are coming from two different tribes. My daughter of 6 years understands that I'm a Luya and my wife is a Kikuyu. And they understand a few of words in Luya that we can speak with my mom, and they can even say one word to my mom in Luya and speak 2 or 3 words to my mom in Lao from my wife's side in the same language. And in that regard, our parents are like, oh, we are still part of this. So they feel like they're not lost the culture or the tribe.
Yeah.
So what you need to do is try as much as possible. It's not different, but try as much as possible so that you can engage them in your 2 languages. Let them know how to, when grandmom calls, they can even say a few words.
Yeah.
And the grandmom will be like, oh, you're still part of this.
Yes.
But the moment you fix your children to be like, how are you? You're well. My name is Douglas. You see, you're losing it. So try.
Watoto hawana mila.
Hawana mila. Just allow them to speak a few words. And from there, they'll be able to, oh, we are Luyas and we're also Kikuyus. And you can talk to my mom from Muranga in Kikuyu, you can talk to my mom from Ituri in Luya. It helps to blend that gap and be able to really fix anything that comes like culture shock to them. Yeah.
Okay, you know that whole issue of names. My kids have got both names. Yeah, my second and third have got names from both sides. You know, so my second born, we call him Mwangi Okumu. Yeah, he's Mwangi Okumu.
Great.
Kuwa na msimamo. Which one are you? Kuwa na msimamo. Irene, listen to this question. Tell me what you think about this. More of a comment. Tell me what you think about it. It says, intermarriage is not bad. It's unfortunate women not embracing the man's language. I advise women to learn the man's vernacular for the sake of their children. Sense of belonging to a community. Ijikamba or Taita or Zulu or Mpare isn't bad. Irene, wanasema wewe ujifundishe Kitaita. What do you think about that comment?
That's a tricky one because first of all, I think language, you catch language by hearing it, by really interacting with it, yeah? So unfortunately, I married a Nairobian and in their family, they speak 99% English, everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone speaks English in their family. They hardly ever speak Taita. Then also, I think language has to do with the fluency of your tongue. Yani mi kusema ukweli, after I came to realize I'm not very good with languages. You know the way you find somebody who says I understand Kao because I'm a Kikuyu, I understand Kao, I understand Meru, I understand all these tribes that are close.
Yes.
Let me tell you, I don't understand Kao, I don't understand. I don't think I'm very good. And I remember I was kicked out of French, out of my French class in high school. So tuseme mdomo pia iko na shida.
Mdomo siye chako.
Yeah, there are so many factors that go into you learning a language. It's so many environmental factors. Are you hearing it? Are they speaking it? So, well, I honestly do wish I could, and I wish my children could learn more language. Even right now, at their age, imagine they keep asking us, how come? We'd love to learn.
Yeah.
I think we look for it.
Yeah. Actually, nowadays, there are people who teach.
Who teach.
Yeah, there are people who teach. I've seen several things online. In fact, I stumbled on a Luya website, my friend, just giving the history of the Luya, where they came from, the culture, the common words, the food, very good, rich information. So there's a way you can do that. Listen to a couple of comments coming in before we run out of time. Charles is saying, being a Luya, we went to pay dowry to a certain culture, expecting kuku on the table. We ate chapo mandondo. It was still haunting the old men we went with. Walikuwa wanangojea ingoho, wakaletewa maharagwe bwana. Wanaletewa maharagwe bwana. Hakuna kuku na ugali. It is still haunting them till today. This one says, I'm a Kikuyu married to a Luo. Both of us are Christians. My husband was very firm from the word go, but didn't prepare me to when it came to attending a burial ceremony. What? Yeah. But I thank God we didn't shave as we were supposed to, and we gave them Bible references. Some relatives said my children would die, but we are well and alive 30 years down the line. Yeah, some of these things, especially funerals in Western and Nyanza, you have to warn your wife if she's not from that culture. She may get a culture shock when you go for that. Let me read one more. Great discussion. Marriage is God's eye-opener of many negative views of our communities and people hold even in one community. I thank God that He is the author of it. Once a couple are married right, God helps them whether through all these negative views. And kudos to you couples who've stuck it, and let the naysayers that say it's impossible see that it is possible when it's done the right way. This one said, I'm married to a Kamba lady. I'm from Luya land. At first it was tricky during our dowry negotiations. Hadi my mother-in-law didn't come for our wedding, but when we got married to Kosawa Sana hadi leo. Say hi to Njambi. Shadrach amesema usalimie Njambi, my good friend. So, David and Irene, as we finish, 17 years down the line, when you look back, if somebody was to come to you and they're thinking of getting married to somebody who's not from their tribe, what are some of the things you would tell them?
Okay. Well, one of the first things I'll mention is that it's important for them to be willing to embrace each other. Okay. That element about cross affection. Yeah. I would actually encourage them that, for one, build your friendship based on, of course, there's the Christian stance that, hey, between me and my wife before God. So that's the first element. But as you're seeking the blessing of your families, really work hard to be able to befriend and create that one-on-one linkage. Yes. Especially with your parents in love. That's something that I think is really key. Being able to show those points of connection. For me to be able to connect with my mother-in-law and my father-in-law directly. Showing them that I'm not just hiding behind my wife in our relationship with them. There's a way that I need to show them that I am actually their son. So that's a big step that I think leads to a lot of that connection, especially with the parents. That's a big part that I would encourage any couple who are crossing the tribal boundary to embrace.
Okay, Irene?
Yeah.
I think I would just say, well, let's be very flexible. You need to be you need to be very flexible, because you can't learn everything about that culture and about that tribe, even when you're dating and all that. There are things that will come up. You didn't know about naming children, you didn't know about, burials and funerals. So be flexible to learn and to just accept certain things that are maybe not what you do in your own family. I think also our culture is very patriarchal. A lot of things are done more towards the man side of the family. So if us women have to be very giving in that regard. We have to be very giving in that regard, because there's so much more, I think, emphasize. So the word is compromise. Be flexible, be ready to learn, communicate, talk about it, always talk about it. This day we're always talking about these differences with my husband.
Wow. Douglas, as we wrap up, what would you tell these individuals who are ready to get married, but from different tribes?
What I'll say is, for parents, listen to your children. Try to get their views and try to really understand why they're getting into that intertribal marriage, and just listen to probably their reasons. Don't focus on the negative part of the intertribal marriage. But try to see, like you see, Irene and David are 17 years in marriage. That's a testimony. So try to focus on the positives. And for someone who wants to get married, that young person, I'll say, the Bible says in the book of Genesis chapter 2, verse 18, the Bible says that, and God said, let us make a man. Let me just read it. I think it says that, and God said, let us make man in our own image and likeness. He didn't say in the image of a Kikuyu or in the image of a Luya. In the book of Genesis 2. So try to really understand that God made man. He didn't choose a Kikuyu to marry. And then when God made Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, just allow me to paraphrase it. God said that verses 18, this is what the Bible says, the book of Genesis, chapter 2, verse 18. The Bible says, and the Lord God said, it is not good that a man should be alone. I will make him a helper comparable to him. A helper comparable to him, not in the same, from the same tribe. So the comparability that God really meant is the compatibility, the two of you coming together and united in love. And what brings you together is not the tribe, but the uniqueness that you're created in, which is the image and the likeness of God. So understand that you're not marrying the tribe, but you're marrying the person, and support your spouse. If the other family does not really recognize them, try to be good, try to talk good about your wife's tribe, and not negatively. So it is you who want to get married to this tribe, who will try to really make sure that your parents will understand why it is good you are choosing this spouse against their choice.
Wow.
Yes.
D from Kiambu says today's relationship clinic is encouraging in the face of soft tribalism that happens in families every other day. Asanteni sana. Andrew says, I identify with the couple on all aspects. I'm Taita. I'm married to a Kamba, 17 years. I support it. Maybe it is the solution to kill tribalism. Andrew, thank you. David and Irene, asanteni sana. Douglas, asanteni sana. Say hi to your wife, Dagi. Thank you for being a part of the clinic today. Clinic imefungwa. Vaccine za leo zimeisha. Mkuja next week, Thursday. Have yourselves a great day.
For this and more of our shows, log on to www.familymediaonline.com to enjoy a wide variety of programs, from current affairs to testimonials and features, pastoral and inspirational shows, kids entertainment, and so much more. Also stream live on www.familymedia.tv.